Ahoy, ladies, gents, and NBs. Welcome to the Last Save Lounge. I am your host, Aaron Turbo Hoodie Amendola, and gosh, I'm happy you're here. Thanks for joining us. New episodes every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcast, and video episodes on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to the show? You want to turn this podcast to a giant, unwieldy podcast kaiju, right? Stomping around, saying hi to Maximum Fun, pissing off Joe Rogan. That's what we want to do, so click subscribe. It helps support the show. Y'all, this week I am joined by an old friend of mine. As you may remember, I'm a theater kid. I'm still a theater kid at heart, despite not being on a stage in quite some time, because the internet is my stage. The first time I met our guest for this week's episode, at least the first time I can remember meeting them, it was probably in a class my freshman year in theater school, but I talk about this one often with him. I remember him sitting next to the woman he would go on to marry in the diner at Point Park University. And I'm just so happy to have on a good friend of mine, somebody that I have valued their friendship for quite some time. We have so many memories around Dead Space, Resident Evil, Left 4 Dead. So this is going to be a fun one. I'd like to welcome to the show voice actor Sean Lenhart. Sean, how you doing, dude?
Hi, everybody. It's really exciting to be here. It's Aaron and I go back a long time. I remember freshman year, we had to crew a show mandatorily,
right.
One each semester. And I recall you got to run the soundboard, the light board.
No. Are you talking about, was this the one in the Row?
Yeah, it would have been Per Gunt, I believe.
Yeah, Per Gunt, who lives in the forest.
He's a good
I did some flies.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to stay late and do laundry, so... Yeah, this has actually been like 20 years in the making. I am here to fight you, okay?
Yeah.
All right? I have been mad ever since. I was 18 years old. I'm 39 now. Let's do this to the death.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now, so here's a question. If you were going to bring any one weapon into combat against me specifically, what would it be? Because for you, I think I would have to do twin blades. Yeah.
See, my go-to is usually the Master Sword, but I'm afraid that the Blade of Evil's Bane wouldn't do anything against you. You're too pure of heart.
I am very pure of heart.
Yeah.
And this is the start of my heel turn, actually. You know, if we were going to bring mythological or video game weapons into it, I can't help but think a plasma grenade would just be a really great way to send somebody off. Just stick it to them, watch them run around like a grunt, and then explode. It'd be really fun.
That would be cruel, and especially to me. Please don't hit me with a plasma grenade. I get mad enough at the entire franchise of Halo that would be... he died as he lived, angry at Halo. It would not be fun.
Peeing in his suit. If you read the other material. Sean, I want to give you your flowers just because you are doing something that feels so monumental to me now, but it's even more monumental to college age Aaron. You are somebody that is holding down a relationship, a fatherhood, but you're also doing what you love, and you're doing theater in Pittsburgh with some of the most incredible theater companies that like Broadway, of course, is Broadway, but I'm biased, but there's theater in Pittsburgh that I would put up against any other rep company. And you've gotten to be a part of it. And more than that, you are using this incredible talent, this incredible gift you have, your creamy baritone voice, this amazing instrument that you have not only been given, but you've nurtured as somebody working in the field for years. It's just great. I'm excited to hear about your thoughts about games as a performer and not just a gamer. So thanks for joining me.
Let me just lean into the microphone to say thank you.
Yes,
that's terrible.
Of course.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm putting creamy on my resume from now on. That's great.
Yeah, you can hyperlink to my name, and somebody can give me a call anytime they want to dispute it. You know, I've seen you playing a lot of Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation, but is there anything right now that's scratching an itch for you that you know is really doing it for you right now?
It's there is new DLC for Power Wash Simulator, and my dual sense controller right now, it's drifting to the left, and so it's making it very difficult to play a power wash, so I have to wait until I can get that fixed. But luckily, Leon moves like a tank because it's Resident Evil. So the stick drift actually doesn't affect anything when I'm playing RE4 Remake. So I've just been kind of sticking to that. And man, that is a game with infinite replayability because I've been playing that since 2005. Resident Evil 4, the original, was actually the first video game I ever bought.
Ever purchased? Did you get the one from GameStop with the big shiny red case?
I don't think it was red, but I
It was
did
something.
bought a GameCube for $99 my senior year, and I bought Resident Evil, and I came home and I hooked it all up and I began playing, and it said, do you have a memory card? And I went, so I got back in the car
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that was the GameCube we went from the original Nintendo to the GameCube. In between was, a personal computer. I was just playing Mega Man 2 and Super Mario Brothers 3 from the time I was 3 years old until I was 18 years old, and then I was like, I have money of my own. I'm gonna buy a game. I'm gonna have my own console. $100, I can afford that. So I've been playing Resident Evil for about 20 years now. It's fantastic. It's wonderful.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah.
So I saw that there was a video on YouTube. There's a video on YouTube, Sean. I don't know if you know, YouTube has videos by Crobat. And he said something to the effect of Resident Evil 4 is timeless and Resident Evil 4 Remake is a product of its time. And one, those sort of videos always kind of annoy me just because I'm like, yeah, they're going to be different, obviously. But two, isn't anything made at the moment a product of its time? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a weird argument to make. So I'm kind of going to throw this to you. Having played the original RE4 and, having indulged in RE4 Remake quite a bit, and I know you've played the VR version quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do you have any strong feelings about the differences between those versions, or is it just something about the architecture of that scenario that does it for you?
Well, obviously, Resident Evil 4, the original for the GameCube, is timeless because QuickTime events have never died and are with us forever. Obviously. No, I love the remake so much because I feel like it is so lovingly made and it so lovingly improves what was already great in
Mhm.
4. Just so much of the story, so much of the little mechanics and stuff, because everything that kind of got on your nerves or annoyed you, the things that you kind of had to bear with, and yes, I'm talking about fetch quests with Ashley. She doesn't have a life bar anymore. You don't have to, she gets knocked down. All right, now you just got to go pick her back up. But,
Yeah, you got to
you don't have to
Chumbawamba her.
manage all of this anymore. The plot makes sense. Like, if you go back to the original, and once you get to the castle, and once you get to Ramon, and you're just like, what happened? I was in a village dealing with zombies. Now I'm fighting giant bugs. Then by the end, you're on an island and there's dudes with pig heads and machine guns. And you're like, what happened? It's the game was made and they threw a story on top of it. And then with the remake, they were able to really lovingly fashion the whole thing together into one finished piece. And so as revolutionary as the original one was, the remake is... And it's kind of hard to say, but I really think the remake is better, actually. It all gels so well. There's no lumps in the stew.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I'm so hesitant to, my heart of heart says, yeah, it's better. But it's better because as games have kind of evolved, it has the sensibilities that I would really want in a third person over the shoulder shooter nowadays. Plus, it takes this old thing and updates it so I can enjoy it now. I don't know if I could really put them against each other, but having one doesn't discount the other.
Exactly.
I always feel a little bit weird when people are like, they remade this thing and they changed it and they ruined it. I'm like, the original still exists. It's just one of those things that whenever it comes up, I just don't think I can get my head in that headspace to be like, you're taking away by adding something. Like, no, you're inviting more people in, and the more people that love the remake will revisit the classic. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
No, it doesn't try to replace the original. So many
Mhm.
remakes and stuff are just like, well, this is the real one. This is the definitive version. You never have to go back. This will last forever. And it's like, no, man, we loved the original for a reason. And this is a sequel with the same plot. Whereas I really find the RE4 remake, like most of the current slate of Capcom remakes, are just excellent. I keep saying lovingly made, and that's really what I mean. That it's just like they cared. They weren't angry at it. They didn't want to replace it. They didn't want to fix it. They wanted to heal.
Update
They
it.
wanted to update. They wanted to make it into something that you remember enjoying and you can still enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, QuickTime events. Finding a way to say, maybe we make the combat so we don't need QuickTime events. I'll take it. That's like finding $20 in your pocket when you switch out to your winter coat. It's great.
Tangentially, we love to talk about heroes in video games. You and I have waxed poetic about Solid Snake and several Kojima protagonists over the years, but I'm going to posit something to you. There's a little bit of a question you can chew on. You don't got to give me an answer right away. Is there a more perfect video game action protagonist than Leon S. Kennedy? Because he just seems to fill that awful action movie stereotype a little bit like a Johnny Bravo in that show. Like he is so perfectly the archetype of here's a quip, here's a backflip and a roundhouse kick, and I got the achievement and I saved the president's daughter and I'm out of here. Does anyone even come close to Leon Kennedy for you?
He is both a well-grounded, rational, realistic human being who can perform a suplex that will make your head explode. You can imprint yourself on the character. You can feel empathy and sympathy for the situation he's in. And at the same time, he's got those one-liners. He's just so corny that he has character of his own. So you can immerse yourself in him. You can imprint on him. He is in many ways, I think, the second best character. The first, of course, being Baird, the Everyman from Gears
The
of War.
Everyman from Gears of War.
Yeah.
How did that even come up? Like, so for listeners, Sean and I played quite a bit of Gears of War in college and probably after college, but we finished Horde mode, which was not a thing I thought you could do back then.
We beat Horde mode. Okay.
I didn't know you could do that.
It has an ending. We got there. Also on my resume.
I don't know what happened. I just remember being overcome with joy and ecstasy, knowing that we got to the end of it. And I was like, I guess I can graduate now.
So tired.
But
like
how
3 in the morning.
How did we get onto that thing? Because like Marcus Phoenix is your protagonist. Back then you're standing for the funny minority character.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had
Dom. Yeah, John Bernthal.
Yeah. You had the most Italian man in the world. But then you just had Baird, who was just kind of, what did we say he was the everyman because he was just kind of boring in comparison?
Well, he was a little boring in comparison, but he was funny, and he was the Spike. He was the Cordelia. He was the one commenting on the situation like the player would be. Just being like, this is a great plan. I'm so excited we're doing this. This is crazy. Why? And so it just became that, who is Baird? What is his character? He's whatever you want him to be. He's playing the game too. He's us. He's the everyman.
He's a blank slate.
Exactly. And then he got his own game, and I never actually played it.
Oh, is that Judgment?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, nobody played that. Nobody played the game. It's fine. What's funny is like calling somebody an everyman in the Gears of War universe just means they don't have arms the size of my torso. Like everybody's limbs in that game just crazy ripped. And I just don't have the stamina. So I will always go with Baird, who just seems like this is my 9 to 5 and my 5 to 9 is enjoying myself at home, quiet, watching reality TV. Good for him.
He goes home. He makes some soup. He reads a book. He's got hobbies. He doesn't have to put protein into everything that he eats.
Mm-hmm.
If he misses a meal, he doesn't shed 5 pounds immediately. He's fine. He's relatable.
Yeah, he's just like you and me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a kind of a selfish question because I got to ask you this a while ago, but I need my own data more. But Sean, you have a incredibly charming, beautiful, wonderful little daughter, and she's playing games with you now, which feels crazy because I'm trying to play games with Rory, my daughter, and recently she loves Mario Kart. I'll give her one of those little Joy-Cons and she just goes. But what I've discovered is she wants to be on the water. She doesn't want to be on land. And I'm like, should I give you Wave Race? No. But whenever she gets in the water, she drives around for a little bit, then circles back, gets on land, and immediately it's, I want to go back in the water. as a father, as somebody that's introducing your daughter to these games, what goes through your head when you show her something, this like old hobby relic of yours? Like, how do you make the decision to show her one game over the other?
It is a lesson in humility because you sit down, sit on my knee, little one. I'm going to show you something that's important, that means a lot to me, that I hope is going to mean a lot to you. And about 3 seconds in, they're just like, Bluey? You're like, oh,
Yep.
dang it. Yeah, because I think a lot of people of our generation, we saw generations younger than us who skipped entire consoles. Who were like, what was your first game? It was Fortnite. It was Call of Duty. And we're like, you weren't given a proper education. So I think a lot of us are trying to start with like, these are 2D side scrollers. Okay, you got to start. Now watch, the graphics have improved. The sound is better. It's got blast processing. It's amazing. You need to appreciate these jumps and then introduce. But I started with Marin very young just because I mostly wanted hand-eye coordination. I wanted to get used to pressing buttons and not just touching a screen, essentially. But the issue was that those earlier games were so difficult. Like Mario, OG Mario, it's on a timer. If you bump into a Goomba, you die. Like,
Immediately.
you need to immediately be good at it. So we tried a couple of things, we moved around, but once I got to Mario 64, the entire opening area is perfectly safe. There's no timer, there's no enemies,
right.
and you just run around and do backflips. So she was having, as a safe gaming experience and having her hands get used to a massive Switch Pro controller, she was having the same experience that all of us had when the Nintendo 64 came out. And you're like, it's in 3D! I can move the camera! I can climb a tree! I did a backflip! How did I do that? You can crouch? Like, she was having the exact same reactions that all of us did. And it just goes to show that 64 and that ridiculous controller is universal. Give it to an alien that has mastered, light speed travel, and they'll also go, hold on, wait, you can swim. Oh my God. It's beautiful. It's perfect. And so with that safety for her, she's really starting to develop, and to the point, like, she knows the goal of the game. She knows we're going to get stars. She knows when you collect anything, you yell, shine, get.
Yep.
To the point now, when she successfully uses the potty, she yells, shine, get. It's the best.
Side note, does your daughter constantly want to see the poop? Be like, let me see it. Because Rory will take off her pull-up and be like, I want to see what I did. And I was like, okay, you'll never grow out of this.
She won't look at it herself, but she'll tell us about it. She just goes, the poop is brown. I'm like, yes, it is. That is very much so. She won't use the toilet for number 2, but we will, and we'll tell her. We're trying to ease her into it, and then she does want to see it. And I'm not ready to do that. Maybe that's the best choice. Maybe it's really not. I don't know. I'm gonna let her make that discovery of her own. I'm not gonna show her mine.
And full disclosure, every decision we make now that is informed, thoughtful, and kind towards our kids, we're gonna find out is wrong in 10 years anyway. We should have been assholes the entire time. Yeah. We should have just given them Mortal Kombat 2 and said, run away, but who knows?
It works so well for us. I mean,
I do think sometimes about the fact that growing up, I was surrounded by Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, all of these just violently over the top games. And I think I turned out okay. Like my first rated R movie was The Rock. And I remember thinking like, so I shouldn't kill people and I shouldn't take over Alcatraz and try to get San Francisco all infected with this awful poison. I won't do that. But nobody was telling me. Like, I had to infer that. But yeah, we're fine. We're good.
Yeah, I think that this was a thing that I've tried to explain to my mom. And my mom is wonderful. I'm not trying to throw her under the bus or anything like that. Because she was fine with movies. Literally, my mom took a group of us to go buy tickets to see the Resident Evil movie. Shout out Resident Evil once again. The person was like, some of these people are under 16. Like, they can't see this. They need, like, a parent. She's like, I'm a parent. They can see it. And there's like, you can only vouch for like 3 of them. There's 5 people. So she found our babysitter in line and said, will you please tell them that way they can go see this movie? Meanwhile, Resident Evil, the game, 32-bit blocks. She was like, no, far too violent. You can't play that. I think, honestly, I mean, I was joking about it before, but like a part of childhood is defending to your parents. No. Lethal Enforcers isn't a violent game. because you have to choose not to shoot bystanders. You're penalized for hurting people that are not armed, shooting at you and committing heinous crimes. Like, it's a morality simulator is what it is. And
I appreciate you bringing up Lethal
these
Enforcers again. Somebody's bingo card just has like one giant line through it. Man, it brought me back to Narc. I remember playing Narc as a kid because that was the propaganda.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, holy shit.
Let me just fill out your bingo card real quick. What was the game? Time Killers?
Yeah.
Where you just play as the guy with the chainsaw and you lop off someone's head in one move.
Yeah.
Also,
Psycho Freaks.
Die Hard, a trilogy.
Great game.
Great game.
Well,
yeah, so.
At least Die Hard Arcade. But yeah. Good stuff.
Just running around shooting stuff, having a great time. It was a good childhood.
I played so much Mortal Kombat 3 on the SNES, and I had a friend over in grade school, and he was like, I can't play that. My mom won't let me. And I remember like as a kid being like, your mom's not here. Come on. And I felt like such a drug dealer being like, come on, your first hit is free. And then all the other hits, as long as you're at my house, are also free.
See, similarly, Christmas, I get to see my brother. He pulls out the Switch 2. He's got like the Mortal Kombat Legacy Ultimate Collection or whatever. And he's just like, dude, we are sitting in our house. It's where we grew up. We're sitting on the couch and we're playing Mortal Kombat for the first time in our lives. I'm like, I know, this is so cool. Dad's right over there like, what are you kids doing? We're like, we're winning. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. But then our children would come up and be like, "Hi, what are you doing?" And we're like, "It's nothing. It's nothing.
Don't
go watch football. Go tackle Grandpa. Just go climb on Papa because we have the blood code turned on and we know the fatalities now." But I'm like, I can't show this. His oldest is like 9, and we're like, maybe, but then you're gonna try to do these moves on your brother. Marin's gonna do them to me, so I need to keep my heart in its ribcage.
Yeah, I think about that a lot. Where we don't. Like, we just don't have a lot of games we can play around Aurora. We started playing some Mario Wonder with her. She likes Sonic Superstars, but really, it doesn't really register. Like, I was playing, I think I was walking around in Resident Evil Requiem, and she's like, what's that? I was like, oh, it's a scary game. Okay. And just went back to playing with her blocks, and it's like, whoa. We've effectively made it so that none of this stuff is special in a way where they're like, I'll get any piece of it anytime I can. You know, it's like sometimes with dinner or lunch, we'll give her like some candy or some chocolate, and like just so she doesn't treat it as some like on a pedestal thing. And I was like, okay, but I do want you to pay attention to some of the other games. Like when I play Astrobot, I want you to be like, what is this incredible blinding light of pleasure that comes from the TV? What is this amazing platform adventure that you can take me on, Father?
It's funny because I think the things that we're more scared of, you know, the Resident Evils, the super violent stuff of like, I got to keep my kids safe. They're going to get traumatized by something completely innocuous. And you'd be like, that's what did it? I spent all this effort making sure you didn't see someone's head explode in HDR ray tracing, but, you know, you popped the balloon in Bluey. That's what did it? Okay, all right. There's just,
Rory's new thing is being scared of ladybugs, and I was like, why? How?
Wow.
Okay.
That's so cute.
But, like, she loves monsters. Like, she caught me playing Requiem at our Resident Evil party, and she's like, I want to see the monster, and like she'll ask me to describe the monster, and I'm like, but he's friendly. Also, if he ever becomes unfriendly, you can say, go away, monster. And she's like, okay, it's that easy. How did that happen?
He's just a big baby anyway. She's seen plenty of babies.
I feel like we could talk about this forever, and hey, we could, but I need to ask people for money real quick so I can keep this show going, so you can just sit there and be pretty. Sean,
I'm actually going to do my own private ad roll so that way I can also make $1.
Great. Can you mute yourself?
Oh, yeah, sure. Real quick.
Okay, great. The Last Save Lounge is supported by Patreon at patreon.com/hoodieweather. By supporting Hoodie Weather, patrons get a bonus segment each week, a bundle of Hoodie Weather games, and ad-free episodes in your feeds. And hey, if times are tough, I think you are too. You can still support The Last Save Lounge by subscribing to the show right now. By having more subscribers, we can attract more guests and listeners. Also, be sure to rate and review us on your podcast app of choice. Tell your friends or your rivals we are not picky. And that's going to do it for the ad read. I hope Sean is done with his. I'll give him the high sign.
And that's why Namco brand soap flakes are the things that are not going to fill you with asbestos. And that's only $11 to my Patreon. All right. I'm
Nice.
done.
Okay, great. Sean, I appreciate you being efficient and doing your ad roll next to mine. The
Yeah,
big
you know.
question of the show, of course, is coming up for you, Sean Lenhart. What is your favorite game of all time?
What a beautiful question.
And like, it's the favorite game today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's there. I wrestled with this, I really did. And like, there were a couple answers that were like, but this is important and people need to know about it. Or, this really defines me as a person, or when people think of this game, they think of me or something like that. So there's answers of Star Wars TIE Fighter or Metal Gear Solid or Mega Man that I want to give because I want, for the sake of my own ego, to be like, when you think of these, you think of me, and that's important. But
So you can be attached to it with a CEO on a
exactly.
podcast on the internet.
Yeah, you see my gamer handle is typically 0, and that's named after a Mega Man character anyway. But the one that always, honestly, very truly is my favorite is my little guy here. So The
I
Legend
knew
of
it.
Zelda Link's Awakening is my favorite game.
Love this.
Yeah.
So I had a feeling. I mean, your daughter's name is Marin.
My daughter's name is Marin, people.
And I remember when you told me, looked up at Liz, and I was like, that's perfect. It's the most absolute perfect name. So Sean, Link's Awakening, obviously one of the best Zelda games, in my opinion. It's in the top 3 for me. Why does Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening mean so much to you?
Like I said, growing up, we quote unquote weren't supposed to play video games. But we had an NES and we had a computer, and so we still played video games. But I spent the whole time growing up watching people play better games and whatnot. So the things that I had,
Any game
I
that isn't the one you're playing is a better game, right?
It really, I feel like I'm only now kind of coming off the other side of this hill of, well, I can play games, I must play every game. I must play every game as soon as it comes out. I need to binge now because it's going to get taken away from me at some point. That I'm in a place now that I can finally say, no, it's cool, I can wait. I'll get to it someday. But as a child, we did have a Game Boy. And I remember that particular Christmas because my brother got the Game Boy. He got a carrying case with like 11 games in it. And I wasn't there when he unwrapped it. I didn't understand. I didn't even know this was a thing that existed. I was so young, and I was just like, oh, have you always owned this? So I'm trying to play it, and he's scooting me out of the way, and we're trying to figure out how the screen works. It's in black and white and whatnot. And so for any games that we got, it was my brother who did it. Like I said, the first game I bought, I was 18. But growing up, they would just kind of show up in the house one day, and he might show me or he might not. I'd be like, oh, that's fascinating. The Game Boy version of Primal Instinct, for example. Is that a Primal Instinct? What's the dinosaur
Primal
fighting
Fear?
game? No, that's
Primal
that's
Rage.
Edward Norton. Primal Rage. Thank you.
Primal Rage.
Killer Instinct, Primal Rage, same game.
Yeah.
The Game Boy version of that is a fantastic find when you see your brother playing it, and it only has 2 buttons. But at some point, I don't know when, I didn't remember the advertisements, but Link's Awakening showed up on the Game Boy, and I'm sitting down playing it, and I'm like, it's like Zelda, but it's in 3D. This 3D, but compared to flat, over-the-top little guy in the NES just poking stuff, I'm like, this has like eyeballs and features, and I can figure out what's happening. This is really fun. And I was terrible at it. I got to maybe like the second boss, the second nightmare, and that's about as far as I could get. And I was like, okay. But my brother's playing it and playing, and he's telling me the plot, and he's telling me what's going on and whatnot. And finally, when I was 8 or 9, I finally sat down, played it, and beat the entire game. Spoiler alert for a game that's, like 30 years old. The game is a dream that the Windfish is having that Link has entered. And so as you're playing the game and you're fighting the nightmares, after a while they start flat out telling you, no, if you defeat us, this is all going to go away. You're going to end everything. It's going to be on your hands. And eventually they're just like, yep, you're in a dream, but the dream has to end. You have to fight the boss and awaken the Windfish. So you gather all the instruments, you climb to the top of tall mountains, and you play everything. And the ocarina, the legendary ocarina, and you go in, you fight all of these nightmares, taking on different forms. You got Aghanim, you got Ganon, you got all kinds of fun stuff in there. And then you finally wake the Windfish, and you get a cutscene, which, back in the day, cutscenes were a huge deal, let alone on a Game Boy. And then you get like the dream is ending. And you cut to a couple of places, and then it all like fades to white as the dream ends. And one of them, the character Marin, her father, I don't know if it's pronounced Tarin or Tarin.
Yeah.
He's not Super Mario, but he's a mustachioed guy who likes to pick mushrooms. But he
And he has a
finds a
chain chomp in
mushroom.
his front yard, right?
Oh, that's his neighbor, actually.
Oh, okay.
That's Madame Bow Wow. But he finds a mushroom, picks it, he holds it up to show you, the player, and then the dream ends and he fades away. And I cried so hard. Because little 8-year-old me was like, I've killed them. I've ended this. I am responsible. And I get through the rest of the game and everything, the rest of the ending and the credits and stuff, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's touching and it's as an 8-year-old, I'm pining for something that I've never had and whatnot. And then like that night, and then like a week later, every time I'd go to bed, Mom's like, good night, sleep tight. And I would cry. She's like, why are you crying? It's like, because I killed Taryn. Oh my God. Like I said, the things that are going to traumatize your children, they're not always going to be the most bombastic, bloody, gory, violent things. They're going to be the most innocent, just little, oh, no big deal. And then you're done. You're cooked forever. And so, like, I don't think I actually played or beat the game, let alone, until I had it on the 3DS. And I had finished a rehearsal, and I was literally sitting on, like, the stoop of the building, waiting for my wife to show up with the car to pick me up. And I beat it again. And again, crying, but now it's like healing. It's joy. It's resolution of, like, I can do this now. I have the mental capacity, I have the understanding now, I have the maturity to realize it's a dream, it's okay, they're not dead, I didn't do it. And I get in the car and I'm crying again, and my wife's just like, what happened at rehearsal? I'm like, oh, rehearsal was bad, but that won't make me cry. No, this was just wonderful and beautiful. And then the remake came out a few years ago. Beautiful. Again, lovingly made. Just a perfect remake.
Really gorgeous art style to lend to the vibe of that game.
Of just like, we're not trying to make it realistic, but we are making it like this is handmade and therefore utterly realistic, because it doesn't have to be flesh. It has to be, I won't say plastic, but it's just, it's natural, I guess. But at the same time, respecting what came before, respecting what the nature of the game, the look of the game is. So, like, every time I think of the game, I play the game, I tear up a little bit. I'm just like, it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. And it's led me on this lifelong journey. And so when it came time for naming our daughter, we were going through lots of names and whatnot. We had some favorites and stuff. And my wife is going through like a list of Irish names. And she was like, this one, Marin, this one. I went, I am attached to Marin. So we didn't name her after her character in the game.
It's a happy accident.
The people who know me, when I say, you know, hey, that's our daughter, we named her Marin, they're like, well, she's going to have a beautiful voice. I'm like, yeah, they know. They know, and it means so much. So someday, like, I will, when she's ready, I'll introduce that game to her. Like, I'm scared to do it. But like my brother, he's been playing through the Zelda games with his kids, and his oldest was so excited because when she was 8 years old, she played through Link's Awakening. And she's like, it's the game that made Uncle Sean cry. And I'm like, yes, it is. So it's just a family story now. It is a legacy of me. I am part of the game. The game is part of me. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. And it's the game that when they were developing A Link to the Past, they had a lot of cool ideas that they didn't get to use. So then they started developing the game, not in secret necessarily, but as a side project, kind of throwing in all these game ideas. And then they showed it to Shigeru Miyamoto, and he went, well, yeah, I love all of this. And then it became a Zelda game. So it's on its own nature. It's a dream come true, quite literally. Yeah. You can jump in the game. It's a Zelda game that gives you the Roc's Feather. You can jump. Feather, yeah. Just you can switch out items at any time to have whatever you want. So you don't have to always have the sword and the shield. But then you still go around with the sword and the shield because you're like, well, I can't get caught with my pants down with a bag of pocket sand and a magic rod. Like, that's not going to do it. There's Kiki the monkey.
Kiki the monkey. So many things come to mind with Link's Awakening. It is one of my favorites. Like I said, top 3 Zelda game. It might be the one I played the most. Just because when you're a kid and you have a Game Boy, it is like limitless video games. And it's so much more palatable than something like A Link to the Past that takes quite a bit more time.
Yeah.
But one, I want to thank you for sharing that story because it's really beautiful. And I love that I know now it wasn't just because of Link's Awakening, that it was almost serendipitous, that gives the story more texture and more of like a fairy tale feel to it. Whenever I think of Hibiscus, I think of Link's Awakening because there's this long quest where you're exchanging items with people. And it's the first time I had learned what hibiscus was. I think you give hibiscus to a man on the mountain, and he makes tea with it, and then he drinks it and he goes, "Ooh, good victuals." And I remember having to ask my dad, "What does good victuals mean?" And he probably made it up, and he was like, "This is what Italians would say in the old days." And I was like, "All right, father who makes up Italian words in front of me all the time, I have no reason to believe you." But there's something really magical about the cast of that game and how not just Marin, not just Madame Bow Wow, but all of the little adventurers you meet on the beach and on the mountaintop in the desert, they are such kind of like mainstays of the Zelda franchise. But because you need to be very efficient with your space in the Game Boy, it really boils down to like, here's this person, here's that person. And it just, everybody oozes charm. I really fell in love with Zelda from that game, I think, and it prepared me for later Zelda games. But we already mentioned the Rock's Feather. That game had crazy power ups. What was your favorite one?
I always liked the combination of the sword and the Pegasus boots, because then you just
Oh,
dash across and just start.
it feels so
Yeah.
good to get that.
Yeah, yeah. You get a little charge up. You're building up dust, and the person you're about to just completely joust through the chest is like, I regret every choice I've made, and then boom, they're done. Or Pegasus boots and the Rock's Feathers, you can make
Yep.
long jumps. The hook shot's a lot of fun in that one. I'm not sure if the hook shot originated there.
Gauntlet,
but,
where you just pick up giant rocks and throw them at people.
yeah,
So
you get the
much
bracelet,
fun.
the power bracelet, so you can just start lifting things. You get the upgraded ones, so you can pick up like the giant boulder, and then it opens up so much more of the map more easily, and you're like, everything is great. Everything is wonderful.
We are forgetting maybe my favorite power up in Zelda with the best name, the Dominion Rod. The rod that like it doesn't belong in Link's Awakening. It sounds so much more dire than it's like a very lethal option in a game full of like cutesy ways to kill people.
Yeah, a bow and arrow, a boomerang, the Dominion Rod.
Right? I used to go around the house saying the Dominion Rod, and Liz would be like, "Why? Why are you doing this?"
You should have killed me when you had the chance, Charles! With the Dominion Rod.
Yes, what a lovely game. Is there any one point in Link's Awakening that sticks out to you? Because for me, it's the Ballad of the Windfish when you play all the instruments together. We went over that. But is there any one point in that game that you remember sticking out to you?
It's funny, actually, because obviously my choice is going to mirror most other people's choice. And if you watch, like on YouTube, a long play of the game, and you see at the bottom of like the most viewed parts, it's always the same part when you have to go find Marin at the beach. And then you get a little cutscene. And so you sit down next to Marin and you're watching a seagull, and she's telling you like she wants to be a bird, and whatnot. And then you get to bring Marin with you on a part of the adventure when she finds out, what to say, is it Bow Wow?
Yeah.
The animal village.
Bow
that
Wow's
was it. There's a
lost.
walrus at the animal village that won't move. And she's like, he won't move? Oh, I'll get him. And then, like any item in the game, you pick up Marin. Just da-da-da-da! And you're like, and then she just follows behind you. But like, she comments on stuff that you're doing. Like I attacked a chicken or something, and she's like, why would you do that? He's just a chicken. And like, just the fact that it's like, hey, you got Marin. Lucky. And you're like, I know, I don't know what to do with these feelings. Oh, it was great. And then you deliver her to Animal Village. And then she just stays there and sings for a while. And eventually you have to bring her home. And you're just like, I did this. I moved a person in the game. You can't. That wasn't a thing up until then. If you go to the store, the guy who runs the store is in the store, guarding the Yoshi that is an item that's kind of hard to get. The person on the phone is on the phone. They don't move around, but all of a sudden you're like, the game has changed, and it's by my doing. So, yeah, that for me is probably my favorite bit, just because little Sean's emotions and little Sean's feelings towards girls and just being like, I want to hold someone's hand someday. Who am I kidding? By the time I was 8, I already had girlfriends.
Yeah.
I blossomed early. Thank you, Batman 66 and Batgirl. Also, the Pink Power Ranger. Thank you.
Yep. Amy Jo Johnson.
Oh, There was a podcast with Amy Jo Johnson and Danielle Fishel, and I exploded, and I am a ghost now. Topanga and Kimberly, pitter patter goes my heart. Thing I loved about the game, when just talking about characters and stuff, it was because it was a dream. They work in a lot of non-Zelda characters. There's a bunch of Mario characters in there. There's Goombas, there's Koopas from time to time. But then there's also
in the 2D
characters...
side-scrolling area, there are Goombas.
2D side-scrolling
area.
Kirby technically shows up as an enemy. There's an enemy, doesn't really look like Kirby. He's not full of joy, but he will suck you up. But Kirby's Dreamland. A lot of the enemies that you come across are from Mario 2, which is also a dream. The little mouse guys throwing bombs and stuff at you and stuff like that. So it's fascinating that they kept this continuity of, like, we're going to have cameos. Technically, Mario's in the game, but it's not Mario. It's Tario. It's Tarin, right? It's not really him and stuff like that. And it's fascinating. I love that they did that. To the point where when you're doing the exchange quest of, I've got dog food. I go get Bow Wow. He's able to get me here, whatnot. But, like, at one point you get a stick and you have to give it to a monkey, or rather you give the monkey bananas, Kiki the monkey, they build a bridge, and then you have a stick left over and you use that to trade up. To knock over a bee's nest, I believe, which is also kind of hilarious. In the sequel Mario movie, Kiki the monkey shows up and I shot out of my seat because I was like, there's no way that there's going to be more Zelda characters in a Mario movie. But honestly, it was just all dream characters from the second game that showed up. But just the fact that, like, there's a dream universe within Nintendo unto itself is such a cool thing. And that it originates in a Zelda game makes me so happy. Also, the owl originates in Link's Awakening. So as much as I think people have mixed feelings about the owl in Ocarina of Time, I'm just going, please let me play the game. Please stop talking. And then you hit the wrong option of, do you want to hear it again? Yes. No. And then you got to do it again. That guy started in Game Boy. So just saying.
I love how familiar you are with this game because I feel like I'm familiar with it. I think about it fondly, but I could not tell you the details of that exchange quest. I remember a few parts, right? But you can really tell how much this game means to you. I just love that, man.
It makes me so happy. And it fills me with joy and it fills me with pain.
That's what good art should do.
Indeed.
I got to tell you this story because you will, if anyone appreciates it, it'll be you. The Zelda Symphony Orchestra used to tour all around the country and they came to Chicago 10, 12 years ago. And I was the kind of guy that would go on setlist.fm and see what they were playing so I could reacquaint myself because I love Zelda, but I don't know every piece from like The Adventures of Link or Oracle of Ages. I want to get familiar. So when I hear an orchestra play, I can really get into it. And the encores changed every night. So I went with my friend, and the first encore, the conductor comes out and says, we have 3 songs for your encores. The last one we're going to do is this. We're going to lead into that song with this one. But the song we have up next, and he goes into this long speech and he's like, blah, 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 the Ballad of the Windfish. And I shot out of my seat and said, I was like looking around, like nobody else loves the Ballad of the Windfish. It is like one of the most meaningful pieces of video game music to me. It is so beautiful, and I hear so many amazing arrangements of it. It just really hurt. And I feel like if you were there would have been 2 people that stood up and said yes.
I'm sorry that you were surrounded by so many people that had terrible childhoods and are traumatized by it. Strange there was a whole theater full of people just being like, no, I don't experience joy, unfortunately. I'm here for the first time enjoying video games. That's too bad. But yeah, no, we would have found out where we were sitting immediately by being like, oh, you're here too. Hey. Yeah. I would have been on stage. I would have been crowd surfing. That would have been fun. I did a Zelda Symphony once, and they didn't play that. But I was also like, guys, play the Gerudo Valley. Play the Gerudo Valley. And every time they're like, oh, there's one more. Not doing it. Oh, there's one more. Great times. But I'm like, Gerudo Valley, Ballad of the Windfish. Come on, those are jams. I feel like
Gerudo Valley is like a staple of those now. Like, you will get shot if you do a Zelda concert and don't play Gerudo Valley.
I agree. Admittedly, also, I mean, because so many of them are breathtaking and amazing and whatnot, but shout out to just the title screen of Wind Waker. Oh my God. And considering Wind Waker involves a baton, I mean, that has to show up in symphony versions. It's great times.
It does. It does. The conductor
Yeah.
will take it out, and usually it gets a nice round of applause.
It's fantastic.
They don't tour with it as much anymore. I mean, it's a different world, times are tight, but I'm heartened by the fact that there's a Persona tour now. There's an Undertale concert I'll be going to towards the end of the year, but there's something about Zelda's music.
Yeah. I think I saw a Resident Evil tour, and that made me laugh because I'm like, it's just going to be the healing room
Yeah, it's the
over and
save
over
room,
and over again.
over and
It's
over.
just like, hey man, just relax. Yeah. I do want to throw some laurels your way as well,
Please.
because I'm very proud of you, and I'm
I
excited
love
that
you.
you're
Thank
making
you.
this show and that you're able to flex your connections with people and stuff like that. You're doing a great job as a host and mining data from people and whatnot, and stealing our passwords and our social security numbers. You're doing
Yep.
excellent work there with that.
I have a list of your fears and your street address, so I can
Yeah.
get anything I want.
By the way, I've been drawing an outline of my house key. Should I send a picture, or do you accept a fact?
With AI nowadays, if you just send me the worst picture, I'll be able to get it in like 2 or 3 shots.
But, you've always been creating stuff and inventing stuff and podcasts and YouTube things and live shows. One of my favorite memories was when we actually got to stage the web show you were trying to make at Point Park, and I got to play a zombie, and then I showed up dressed as Shaun of the Dead, wearing a red shirt under a white shirt, and I threw water on it so it looked like it was bloody. The red would bleed through, and you didn't see me until like I was trying to eat your brains on stage, and just the joy in your face, and you're like, oh no, oh my God, I get oh no. The reference that happened, it's these little moments that give me joy. But I'd also like to thank you for literally making my blinding pale ginger ass famous from a particular YouTube video that we made, where I think I'm the best part of that particular video. But yes, my
Both
naked
cheeks.
ass is on the internet. So if you haven't seen me before, you have actually seen me before. This is what I sound like, but you've seen
That
my
voice
ass.
comes out of the butt, which it's the craziest part.
Well, they say sing from the diaphragm. They also sing from the butt, yeah.
Yeah, I remember Ricardo. We had the same vocal coach.
Yee.
You're not allowed to compliment me on this show. This show is for me to compliment others. But Sean,
Also,
you are...
you're short, your belly button sticks out too far, and you're a terrible burden on your poor mother.
There we go.
There you go.
Well, I had to be a burden to somebody. Well, this has been fun, and we're over an hour. But Sean, like I said, I wanted to earn bringing some of my friends on here, and I was so excited to get folks like you, Matt. I'm gonna get Liz in here one of these days. But when I was thinking about what game you would bring, it's like Metal Gear would be kind of easy. We have a lot of other gaming touchstones, but in the back of my head, I didn't want to think about it too much. I was like, it's probably Link's Awakening. And I'm really happy we got to have the discussion and to let you go hog wild on that for a bit, because I love the enthusiasm. It pinballs around inside me and it makes me happy for the rest of the day.
Pure joy.
And now I think I have, if I don't have a physical copy of that, I do. I totally do. I would not have not purchased that game to have it immediately available. I can't wait to show that to
You got the
Rory.
DX version in color. You got
I
the
had it on my
remake.
3DS XL.
Exactly.
I had it.
Exactly. There's copies out there.
Promise you'll tell me when you sit Merritt in front of it, and odds are she's going to be like, whatever, but
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
She's like, well, I played the game that makes my dad cry. What'd he do? He cried. What'd you think? I was like, well, this is not Miss Rachel, so I don't know why I'm playing it.
More like no Gabba Gabba.
I'm happy that you get to interview your friends, because Aaron was saying before we began recording how much he hates interviewing these other people that aren't his close personal friends. He was just like, I was talking to Rich, pulling his eyes out, just absolutely atrocious, hates it. But he puts on a brave smile, so I'm happy I could be a moment of warmth and a moment of comfort for you.
I love this bit, and I hope it continues with every guest forever. I hope every guest is like, you kept telling me how the last person sucked ass.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy we can get over that hurdle.
Do better, Matt Peters. Come on, man. We're both voice actors. Do better.
I'm actually going to tag him, and I'm going to make this a clip, and I'm going to see if he responds. It'll be great.
I hope so.
Sean, if we wanted to find your work online, if I can funnel people towards you, where should we send them?
I should get a P.O. box to answer that question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my times of social media-ing, I'll watch TikToks. I don't really produce content. Or if I do, I delete it after a month because I'm like, I don't want this to linger.
Uh-huh.
I think I still have I did a project when my daughter was first born called Hot Dad Reads, where I would live stream reading classic literature. And I think that Patreon is still technically available. I haven't checked it in years. So I might have a pile of money in there that I don't know about. But if you want to see me sitting in a chair reading like...
Great Expectations?
I did Pride and Prejudice. I did a bunch of Les Miserables. I did some Shakespeare in there. Did I do the Count of... I read the Count of Monte Cristo, but I forget if that was to... No, that was to Marin. I didn't do that on the stream. But if, there's paid subscription tiers of just me sitting in a chair reading to you. But, anything else that you can actually find me, I'm probably actively going, oh God, I'm embarrassed, and taking it down. So really just, if you see me on the street, put some money in my pocket. That's all you gotta do.
Just sneak it in there. Thief it into his back pocket.
Yeah, I gotta feed a baby, man, And just, I can't jam quarters in her mouth anymore. She requires bills.
I was going to say, common misconception. You need to actually use the money to buy food, and the food goes in the baby. You can't skip out the middleman and put the money into the baby's mouth.
Money can be used to purchase goods and services. Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much for listening to Last Save Lounge. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did, and I had a great time. I'm just going to be skipping around all day. I'm definitely going to play Zelda tonight. The Last Save Lounge is produced by Hoodie Weather, creating comfy games and podcasts broken in like your favorite hoodie. You can support Hoodie Weather by heading to patreon.com/hoodieweather and becoming a patron for just $1. Sean, thank you so much for joining me today.
I was really touched to be here. Thank you, man.
Bye.